Phone calls from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time using the data available at that time.
Let's go to Glenn in Massachusetts. Hey, Glenn, what's going on?
You know what is good for us is Tom O'Brien providing an unbiased source of information for us investors. You don't have an agenda. It's just to cut through everything and to give us the facts. I want to thank you.
Well, I appreciate it, man.
And now, here's Tom O'Brien.
Welcome, folks. This is Tom O'Brien of TFNN. We go 5 days a week. We go 2 hours a day. We go 24 hours a day on the internet at TFNN.com. Always remember, folks, whatever you think about, you bring about. Whatever you focus on grows. It's a TGIF Friday, folks. Let's make it a great one. Great weekend. Pretty amazing how fast time goes. Feels like I just said that 60 hours ago. Let's take a look at one of our 4 agreements. You can live in heaven right now. Heaven and hell is here and now. You don't need to wait to die. If you take responsibility for your own life, for your own actions, then your future is in your hands, and you can live in heaven while you're alive, while your body's alive and kicking. Market-wise, let's take a look at it out here. We had the Dow up 56, NASDAQ up 8, S&P's up 6, gold contract down $11, trading out at $1,428 an ounce. Silver off 11 cents at $37.77. Platinum down $2 at $1,765 an ounce. Copper off 5.5 pennies at $4.25 a pound. Light sweet crude up $1.38, trading out at 108.10. That's a big one, folks. Bonds that up 6 ticks, trading out at 120.12. Dollar index up 23 ticks, trading out at 76.09. Euro up 7 ticks at 142.30. Yen up 90 ticks at 84.03. Our phone number is 877-927-6648. Give us a call, folks. Want to know what's going on in your world. In the world of the S&Ps, let's take a look at them. What do we have out here? Okay. Cash S&P. We get to 1337.85 today. That got you over the highs of March 1st, which is 1332, which was over the highs of 1332.28, which was March 3rd. Now, it closed at 1332.41. You're coming into that big downdraft out there, which was on the 22nd, which was the 1338.91. You did $900 million out there. That $900 million, folks, is going against the 22nd, which is the $1.322 billion. Now, that's your S&P, and that's on the daily. Now, let's go over to the SPY, the SPY, and we'll look at that, because we also can look at this now. On the daily, the way the SPY sets up is this. We did 147 million shares. We got to a price point of 133.77, which got you over the highs of the first, which got you over the highs of the third. The 147 million was going into 258, was going into 233. So you can see you're up there with half the amount of volume. That's on the daily. Now let's bang this out and do it into the weekly. You take a look at the weekly, and this is what you have. On the weekly basis, we did 655 million, and that's going into 862 million. Bottom line, still not enough juice. That's your S&P. We go to the Dow Industrials. We take a look at the Dow. Dow Industrials up 56 points. The high in the Dow Industrials, 12,389.82. We got over the high. You closed under the high. And we had lighter volume. The Dow, we did 902 million versus that 1.3 billion. Now, inside the Dow Industrials, let's go to the ETF for that. The ETF for that is the DIA, the diamonds. What do the diamonds do? The high in the diamonds was 123.64. We got to 123.95. You closed at 123.46. You got over the high, closed underneath it. You did 4.7 million shares, and that 4.7 million, correlation-wise, was going into 6.3 million. We had come downtown with the 16 million. Now, let's go to the NASDAQ Composite. Composite next. And inside the composite, folks, the composite has been the laggard here on the way up. In the composite, when we look at the composite is a makeup of 2,658 stocks that trade in the NASDAQ. Okay, so what do we do here? The composite today gets to a price point of 28.02. It is, you know, it's a mind blower here, folks. I'm not kidding. When you're dealing with numbers that are so large, it's like, how do they get to even with 10 100ths of these swing points? But they do. So watch what it did. It goes to 2802.63. That was going over, you know, the March 3rd high, which was 2802.32. Bottom line, couldn't handle it. Also didn't have the volume. Gave it up. Didn't give it up. It's to hang up there, but couldn't make it. The 4 Qs. Well, let's go to the NDX 100 next. Now, the NDX 100, the makeup on the NDX 100, of course, okay, the way that indice works is that is it's a modified capital index, and it makes up the 100 top, most active, largest, and here's the key, non-financial equities inside the NDX inside the composite. So, NDX 100 today, what does it do? That's the lag it in a big way. The NDX 100, the highs out there are 2403. We got out there today to 2359. You close at 2342. If we look at the 4 Qs, 3 Qs now, and you want to see those that correlation we did 58 million going into 92 million. Can't handle it. Okay. Now, with all that said and done, what does it mean? This is what it means to me. We did this on a Friday, and the most deviant thing that this market can do right now is this. Well, here, actually, we have to go to the small caps next, and this is why. The small caps was the first one to get over its high. It got over its high on Wednesday. Now, it's over its high on anemic volume. To me, that's going to be a false break topside, so you're going to come down. But stay with me for a second. Small caps go over the high. Stay over the high. Dow is over its high, can't stay over its high. The NASDAQ Composite is very close to it. When I say close to it, the high out there is 2840. Today you hit 2779. What I expect you're going to see out here is this. Monday morning, what you'll see is that you'll see a slight gap up in the marketplace. That'll take the Dow over its highs, NASDAQ Composite near it. The S&P will hit it. Then, bye-bye. See ya. Don't want to be ya. Because that's the most deviant thing this thing could do. And what you had, the way the setup is, folks, it's just lined up for the setup. Because going from a Friday to a Monday, you know, was the sell today? It very well could have been. My take is that the most deviant thing it can do is that you gap the Dow over the highs. The reason for that is that the Dow is the top line news number. If you notice, that's what all the news media outlets love to use. It's only 30 stocks, but that's what you like to use because it's a bigger number. Okay. Now they don't. If you pay attention to this, what you're going to see is that they don't use that number on the way down. They use that number on the way up. Okay. When something gets hit on the way down, you'll see that they revert back to the S&P. It's hilarious, actually, but just check it out when the next time it happens. Anyway, so the scenario that's set up here is that you get a gap up in the Dow. NASDAQ Composite tries to make it. That's the end of the story. Why am I saying the end of the story? Well, we're going to go to the dollar next, but let me show you something. Inside the NDX 100, this is what you have. The NDX 100 is all about good old Apple. And Apple still constitutes 20.3% of the NDX 100. Apple today, okay, you know, it was only down at $1.4 and that's when the market sold off. That $4 downturn on Apple, folks, had to do with 2 sales. That was it. And when you see that, and what I mean specifically, these were the sales. At 15.13 and 15.15, there was one sale of 16,000 shares, another 17,000. Apple couldn't handle those sales, and the stock basically came back 3.5 points, 2.5 points in a heartbeat. That's insane, folks, okay? You're talking about 34,000 shares. That's nothing. When you can't handle liquidity of 34,000 shares and you're dealing with millions of shares traded in Apple every day, what does it mean? Well, let me walk you through this, baby, because this is what you have. Apple trades 14 million shares a day, 14.8 shares a day. So to not be able to handle 34,000 shares without basically getting down 2.5, 3 points in a heartbeat, says that there's not true buyers and there's more sellers and dramatically more sellers. What is holding Apple up because it's such a high-priced stock is what? Is electronic trading in a big way. Because all those electronic traders, meaning if you look at Renaissance Technology, they only need pennies to make money, folks, okay? Apple every day, I'm sure, is right inside their deal. Why? Because the price spread in Apple every day is $2 or $3. That's what is basically holding Apple up at this particular point. You get real sellers out there, boom, back away. They'll back away in about 2 seconds flat. Now, let's go over to the gold market next. What gold did out here today, let's take a look at it. When the numbers came out this morning, this is what you had. Gold market today, 8:30 this morning. Job numbers come out. Gold market didn't like it. Gold goes from 1436 down to 1413. It closed, and it came back, quite a bit. It closed at 1428. Now, what it did, however, is this. You were pounding on the swing point from 1411, and you pounded on that with volume. Did 157,000 contracts. What that sets up is that's building cause for lower prices. We come back, we go over to the dollar index, and what you have with the dollar index is this. A dollar index goes topside, couldn't hold the higher price. Dollar out here today, this is what you had. We went to a price point of 76.87, but it had 32,000 contracts, folks. You came down yesterday on 23. When you go to a higher price point, it took the swing point out, took it out with volume, but yet you couldn't hold the price. That's short-term bearish, long-term bullish. Dollar index wants to get into the 77, 67 area. We'll see how it gets into that area and how it wants to get into that area. Silver. Now, silver was the most resilient out here. What silver did 72,000 contracts. It came back to a price point of 37.08. The 37.08, I was saying once again, this high in silver of the 24th of March wants to get tagged. That high out there is 38.18. So we'll see how that shakes, rattles, and rolls. But bottom line, that's how it's set up. Inside the NASDAQ Composite, what you do have is that there's a few of these tech stocks that were taking a big beating. And if we take a look at JDSU, take a look at JDSU. Now, this one's going to get interesting, and this is why. This is an equity that we want to be buying at lower levels. There's a gap there at 1750, but this volume come out of it today. So it's like you're going to even have a better chance, folks. Bottom line is that I suspect you're going to go into the gap. It's probably going to go a little bit lower than the gap. Broadcom, BRCM, same type of setup. And you know what? This is just going to be gifts under the Christmas tree. It's going to be Christmas in, let's see, it's probably going to be Christmas in April. This time over, this is TFNN. We're going to come right back, folks.